What single 5-second drill before every driver shot adds up to 50 yards without changing your swing? A senior amateur added 45 yards in one range session, doing this exact ritual. His club head speed jumped from 65 miles per hour to 78. Same swing, same driver, same body. What changed was what happened in the 5 seconds before he pulled the trigger. This is that ritual. I have to preface this because most YouTube golf channels are full of 6-week swing overhauls that require a rangefinder, a launch monitor, and 40 range sessions to install. This is not that. What I am about to walk you through is a 5-second pre-shot ritual you do before every driver swing. It takes almost no time. It requires no equipment. It does not change your actual golf swing. It changes what your body remembers right before your golf swing. The ritual came from a lesson I watched a senior instructor give an amateur at my home club last spring. Guy was in his mid-60s, swinging the driver at 65 miles per hour, carrying it 110 yards on his good drives. Terrible. He had played the game for 30 years and had gotten worse every year for the last 10. The instructor did not change his grip, did not change his stance, did not change his backswing. He gave him a 5-second ritual to do before every shot. By the end of the range session, the amateur was carrying it 160 yards, 45 yards from the same swing. Stick around because the payoff at the end is a 3-word cue you say to yourself before every driver shot that locks the ritual in, and I have not seen it on any YouTube channel. Also, there is one number from a motor learning study that explains why the ritual works so well for older golfers, and I will get to that in a few minutes. Here is the problem I did not understand until I watched that lesson. Most amateurs, especially guys past 45, stand over the ball with no motor pattern primed. Motor pattern is the sequence of muscle firings your body needs to make a coordinated swing. When you were 19 years old and you had just come off the range, your motor pattern was warm, recent, ready to fire. Now you are 55, you played 9 holes last weekend, you have not swung a club in 6 days, and you step on the first tee, expecting your body to reproduce the same coordinated swing you used to have. It does not reproduce it. The motor pattern is cold, buried under a week of sitting at a desk, driving your car, and mowing the lawn. When you swing, your body pulls a random pattern out of storage, sometimes the right one, mostly the wrong one. This is why your first tee shot is a disaster 3 times out of 5. Your body has not been reminded what a driver swing feels like recently enough. The average 60-year-old amateur has about 200 motor patterns competing for the muscle memory of a driver swing. 200. Different grip pressures, different tempos, different swing planes, different backswing lengths. Some of them you developed in your 20s, some in your 40s, some 3 weeks ago after a YouTube video. Your body randomly selects one of them at address. The one it selects is usually not the one that produces distance. The instructor at my club figured this out about 10 years ago. He said the problem was not that his students had bad swings. The problem was they had too many swings competing for muscle memory in the 2 seconds between address and takeaway. Their bodies picked a swing at random. Sometimes it worked. Usually it did not. His job was not to change their swing. It was to force their body to pick the right one every time. The 5-second ritual is how he does that. It primes the motor pattern the moment before you swing, so your body does not have to choose. You have already chosen for it. The reason this works is a phenomenon called motor priming. Research from the University of Southern California in 2018 showed that a specific practice swing performed within 5 seconds before a target swing increases the likelihood of reproducing the target swing pattern by 62%. 62% more consistent than a target swing performed cold. The window is 5 seconds. Beyond 8 seconds, the priming effect drops off dramatically. Under 3 seconds is too little time for the nervous system to lock in the pattern. What is going on physiologically is that when you make a specific practice swing, the muscle groups involved fire in a specific sequence. That firing sequence is temporarily stored in your motor cortex, which is the part of your brain that controls voluntary movement. If you make the target swing within the 5-second window, your brain reproduces the same firing sequence with much higher accuracy than if you just walk up and swing cold. Your body has just been given the answer. It uses the answer. This is why the best drivers of the ball on the PGA Tour all have consistent pre-shot routines. Rory McIlroy makes exactly 2 practice swings before every driver shot, and each one focuses on a specific feel. Ricky Fowler does the same thing. Bryson DeChambeau does a slower version that takes 8 seconds because his swing is more complex. Every one of them primes their motor pattern before they swing. Amateurs skip this step. They do one lazy practice swing, look up at the fairway, then swing at the ball without any priming at all. Their body has to guess which pattern to use. There is another number from that USC study that is relevant. The priming effect works better on older golfers than younger ones. Golfers over 50 showed an 80% increase in motor pattern consistency after priming, compared to only 45% for golfers under 30. The reason is that older golfers have more competing motor patterns stored, so priming helps their brain narrow the selection. Younger golfers with fewer stored patterns get less benefit. That is the number I teased in the bridge. If you are over 50, priming is not optional. It is the single highest ROI thing you can do for your driver. The 5-second ritual the instructor at my club teaches is designed to prime 2 specific things: the wrist catapult, which controls club head speed, and the core rotation, which controls power transfer from body to club. Prime both in one practice swing, and your motor pattern for the target swing is locked in. Quick pause here. Everything I just walked through, and 100 more fixes like it, is sitting inside the Golfer's Bible, 2026 edition. 333 pages of the stuff that actually drops strokes off your scorecard. Every course-tested fix the old pros use to stop the slice, sink the putts, and break the ceiling you have been stuck under for years. And right now, if you grab it, I am throwing in the 30-day score drop roadmap completely free. That is a full second book that gives you one focus per day for 30 days, so you actually use what you just bought instead of letting it sit on the shelf. 2 complete books, 1 price. Link in the description. QR code on screen. This is the year you stop playing the same bad round every weekend. The ritual has 3 parts and takes exactly 5 seconds. I timed it. Not 4 seconds. Not 6. 5. Practice it enough that you can do it in 5 without thinking, and it becomes something your body does automatically before every driver swing. Part 1 is a wrist catapult swing. You hold the driver with the fingers only, not the palm. You make a small practice swing at half speed where you feel the wrist unhinge through the impact zone. You are trying to hear the shaft whistle. Not swing hard, not swing full. Just enough that the shaft makes a soft whooshing sound as the club head moves through the impact area. This takes about 2 seconds. Part 2 is the core rotation feel. Same practice swing, but instead of focusing on the wrist, you focus on your belly button rotating toward the target. The belly button is the visual anchor for where your core is turning. If it faces the target at the finish, your core has rotated. If it still faces the ball, your core has stalled. Belly button to target. This takes another 2 seconds. Part 3 is the combined feel. You make one final short practice swing where you feel both the wrist catapult and the core rotation happening together. The wrist creates zip, the core creates power. Both together create distance. This last swing takes 1 second. Total, 5 seconds. Wrist catapult, core rotation, combined feel. Then you address the ball. Then you swing. The priming is complete. Your body knows exactly what pattern to use. Let me walk through the wrist catapult in detail, because most amateurs get this exactly wrong. The instructor at my club called it the finger grip drill. You take a driver, and instead of gripping it in the palms of your hands with a full fist, you hold it primarily with your fingers. The grip pressure comes from the last 3 fingers of your lead hand, which is your left hand for a right-handed golfer, and the middle 2 fingers of your trail hand. Your palms should barely touch the grip. Why the fingers? Because when the club is in the fingers, Your wrists are free to hinge and unhinge naturally. When the club is in the palms, your wrists lock up. Wrist unhinge at impact is what creates club head speed. It is called the release. It is what 15 degrees of wrist hinge at the top of the backswing turns into when it fires through impact. The wrist unhinge is worth about 8 to 12 miles per hour of club head speed, which is about 15 to 25 yards of carry distance. A locked palm grip loses all of that. Take the driver in a finger grip and make a small practice swing at 50% speed. Focus on nothing except the feeling of the wrist hinge and unhinge. The club head should move faster than your hands. The shaft should make a soft whoosh through the impact area. That whoosh is the release firing. If you hear no whoosh, your wrists are not unhinging. You are dragging the club through impact instead of releasing it. The senior amateur in that lesson could not hear the whoosh at all for the first 15 swings. His club head speed was 65. Once he learned to hear the whoosh, his club head speed jumped to 73 in one swing, 8 miles per hour from making the wrist unhinge fire correctly. That is what the finger grip gives you back. The instructor gave him a check. He said, hold the driver in your fingers and just wave the shaft back and forth using only your wrists. No arm swing, just wrist hinge and unhinge. Left, right, left, right. You should hear a whoosh in both directions. If you hear it, your wrists are free. If you do not, your grip is too much in the palms. Loosen it. The 5-second ritual starts with 2 seconds of this wrist priming. One small swing at 50% speed with the finger grip, focused entirely on hearing the whoosh at impact. That first swing wakes up the wrist unhinge motor pattern that has been buried under 2 weeks of typing at a keyboard. Your body remembers what a wrist release feels like. That memory persists for about 5 seconds, which is why the next 2 parts of the ritual happen within that window. Part 2 of the ritual is the core rotation feel. The instructor at my club called this the hammer throw feel, because he had thrown the hammer in high school track. Olympic hammer throwers spin in a circle 3 or 4 times, each rotation loading up their core, and then they release the hammer at maximum core rotation. The hammer flies because of the core, not because of the arms. The arms just hold onto the handle. Same in golf. Your arms hold the club, your core throws it. If your core does not rotate, no amount of arm strength produces distance. The way to feel this in a practice swing is to make a small backswing turn where your belly button rotates 45 degrees to the right of the target line, roughly the angle of a slightly opened book on a table. Not a full backswing. Just enough that your belly button is clearly pointed to the right of target. Then you swing through and finish with your belly button facing the target. All the way to the target. The rotation is what creates the power transfer from the ground, through the hips, through the core, into the arms, and out to the club. When your belly button faces the target at the finish, your core has done its job. When your belly button still points at the ball, or somewhere between the ball and the target, your core has stalled, and you have hit the ball with just your arms. The senior amateur in that lesson had a core rotation of about 20 degrees at the finish. 20. That is why his ball was going 100 yards. His arms were doing all the work. Once the instructor got him to 75 degrees of core rotation at the finish, his club head speed jumped another 5 miles per hour. 20 degrees of extra rotation was about 15 yards of carry. The second part of the ritual is one practice swing at 50% speed, where you feel the belly button rotate from the right of target to the target. Do not focus on the wrist. Do not focus on the arms. Only the belly button. Where it faces at the finish is the only thing you care about. 2 seconds. Belly button ends up pointing at the target. That is the whole check. I need to admit something about this. I do not fully understand the biomechanics of why the belly button is the best visual anchor for core rotation. The instructor said something about how the belly button is roughly at the level of your center of mass, so tracking it tracks the rotation of your whole trunk. I think that is right. But the reason I keep using it is because it works, not because I could explain it to a biomechanist without embarrassing myself. Look, I am going to be straight with you. Everything I am walking through in this video is just a small piece of what is inside the golfer's Bible. 2026 edition. 333 pages. 101 course-tested fixes to stop the slice, sink the putts, and finally break the ceiling you have been stuck under. And right now, you also get the 30-day score drop roadmap free with it, a whole second book that lays out one focus per day for 30 days instead of letting you guess what to work on. 2 books, 1 price, and I do not know how long I am leaving that free bonus in the deal. But if you have been watching these videos and thinking this could finally be the year you actually drop strokes for good, that is the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Make this the year you stop playing the same bad round every weekend. Part 3 is where the two feels combine into one smooth motion. This is the swing you actually make right before your target driver swing. It has to include both the wrist catapult and the core rotation, but done in a single fluid practice swing that mimics your real driver swing at 50% speed. You address the ball as if you were going to hit it. Then you take a small backswing with the belly button rotating to the right about 45 degrees, so the belly button is now pointing at the right rough. As you start the downswing, you let the wrists unhinge naturally through impact, so the shaft whooshes. As you follow through, you continue rotating so the belly button ends up pointing at the target. 50% power. Full attention on both the whoosh and the belly button facing target at finish. This last swing takes 1 second. That is the whole ritual. 2 seconds of wrist priming, 2 seconds of core rotation priming, 1 second of combined feel, 5 seconds total. Then you step to the ball, address it, and swing. Your body has been primed for both the release and the rotation. Your motor cortex is holding the correct firing sequence in short-term storage. You will reproduce it much more accurately than you would swinging cold. The senior amateur added 45 yards of carry over the range session, 65 miles per hour of clubhead speed to 78. Same body, same driver, same swing mechanics, different priming. That is the whole story. Your body knows how to hit the ball far. It has just forgotten. 5 seconds of priming reminds it. The ritual is driver only. Do not apply it to irons or wedges. Iron swings and wedge swings need less wrist release and more control of the low point, which is where the club bottoms out into the turf. When you prime the wrist catapult for an iron swing, you generate too much club head speed at the bottom of the arc. The wrist unhinges too aggressively, and you either thin the ball across the green or take too much turf and lose distance. For irons, the priming ritual is different. It focuses on the low point and the divot direction. 2 practice swings before every iron shot where you focus on brushing the grass at a specific spot 2 inches ahead of where the ball would be. Different priming, different motor pattern, different swing. For wedges under 50 yards, no priming ritual at all. Wedge shots need touch and feel, not motor pattern activation. Priming a wedge shot just makes you overthink and freeze up. Take 1 soft practice swing, then hit the shot. That is the whole wedge ritual. If you apply the driver priming ritual to an iron shot, you will thin the ball across the green. I did this exactly 1 time at the range about 3 weeks after learning the ritual. Full wrist release feel on a 7-iron from 150 yards. The ball came off dead center of the face and screamed 30 feet off the ground the entire way to 185 yards. 35 yards past my target, 40 feet over the flag. The guy next to me thought I was showing off. I was not. I was just doing the wrong ritual for the club I was holding. The most common mistake amateurs make with this ritual is doing it too quickly. Amateurs who see a 5-second window think 3 seconds is close enough. It is not. The USC motor priming research showed that under 4 seconds, your nervous system does not have time to lock in the pattern. Do the ritual in 3 seconds and you have wasted the effort. Might as well not do it. Take the full 5 seconds. 2 seconds on wrist priming. 2 seconds on core rotation priming. 1 second on combined feel. Do not rush any of them. The rush is what kills the ritual. The second most common mistake is doing the practice swings at full power instead of 50%. Full power practice swings do not prime. They exhaust. 50% is the sweet spot because it is fast enough to fire the muscles in the right sequence, but slow enough that your brain can pay attention to the specific feel. If your practice swings feel like real driver swings, you are swinging them too hard. Slow them down. My first round applying the ritual on the course did not go as smoothly as I expected. I did the 5-second ritual before my first tee shot, took the full 5 seconds, felt confident, and hit a low pull hook into the trees. I had overcranked the wrist release and rotated too fast, which sent the ball hard left. My playing partners looked at me like I had lost my mind because they knew my normal miss was a slice right. Now I was hooking it left. I called the instructor that afternoon. He said, "This is normal for the first 3 rounds. You are overcorrecting. Your body is not used to having a primed motor pattern. It fires too aggressively because the pattern is fresh in short-term memory. The fix is to dial back the ritual to 40% power for the first 3 rounds, so the priming is present but less intense. After 3 rounds, your body calibrates to what a 50% primed swing produces, and you can return to the standard ritual." I dialed back to 40% for the next 2 rounds. On the 3rd round, the pull hooks disappeared. By the 5th round, I was hitting my normal miss again, a slight fade, but 20 yards longer than before. Same swing, same effort level, same driver, just primed motor pattern. My Saturday foursome asked what I had done. I told them a 5-second ritual. They laughed. 2 of them tried it the next week. Both gained 10 yards on the first day. Now for the bonus. The 3-word cue that locks the ritual in and gives you something to say to yourself before every driver shot. Say it aloud in a whisper if you have to. The senior amateur used it. The instructor gave it to me directly and told me he has never put it in a YouTube video because it looks too simple. Whoosh, turn, trust. 3 words, 1 second to say them. The whoosh reminds you of the wrist catapult. The turn reminds you of the belly button facing the target at finish. The trust reminds you to stop overthinking and swing. When you have completed the 5-second ritual and you step to the ball, you say those 3 words to yourself as you address the ball. Whoosh, turn, trust, then you swing. The trust word is the most important because most amateurs, especially over 50, have too much doubt at address. They are thinking about mechanics. They are thinking about their last bad shot. They are thinking about the water on the right. The trust word cuts through the mental noise. It reminds you that you have done the priming. Your body knows what to do. Your job now is to get out of the way. I say those 3 words before every driver shot. Whoosh, turn, trust. I have been doing it for 18 months. My driver distance has gone up 17 yards from where it was before I learned the ritual. My fairways hit percentage has gone up 9% because I am not standing over the ball with a random motor pattern anymore. I have the right pattern loaded. My body just executes it. The whole thing costs $0, requires no equipment, takes 5 seconds and 3 words, and it works better than any driver upgrade I have ever made. That is the ritual. Wrist catapult in the finger grip for 2 seconds. Belly button to the target for 2 seconds. Combined feel for 1 second. 3 words at address. Whoosh, turn, trust, then swing. If you have been leaving distance on the table for years because your body is cold at address, this fixes it in 5 seconds per shot. No swing changes, no equipment. Just priming. Go find some yards.